What if the most important conversation you ever have is the one you've been avoiding with yourself? We live in a world of constant noise, a world that tells you who to be, what to want, and how to live. But beneath that noise, there's a quieter signal, a truth that's uniquely yours. The pioneering psychologist Carl Jung dedicated his life to understanding this inner world, and he left us with a challenging yet liberating directive: the courageous act of choosing your own essence. This isn't about selfishness. This is about sovereignty. When was the last time you made a decision that truly felt like your own? Not one dictated by family, by culture, or by the fear of falling behind. Every time you ignore that inner pull, you are, in a silent way, telling the most authentic part of you that it doesn't matter, that its dreams are negotiable, that its voice is secondary. Jung taught that our unconscious mind isn't a separate entity. It is the very soil from which our conscious life grows. To neglect it is to sever our own roots. That feeling of unease, that persistent tug in your chest when you're on the wrong path that isn't anxiety, that is your soul trying to navigate. It's your internal compass pointing you toward a life of alignment. So let me ask you directly, how many of your recent choices sprung from a place of deep, personal truth? And how many were reactions to a fear of judgment, fear of failure, or the simple fear of being different? Every choice made in fear is a step away from your soul. Jung understood this intimately. He knew that a life built on external approval is a house on sand. It might stand for a while, but it cannot withstand the storms of life. The further you wander from your own core, the more profound your sense of being lost becomes. But here is the crucial distinction that changes everything. Choosing yourself is not the same as rejecting everyone else. This is not an act of isolation. It is an act of integration. It is the recognition that to offer your best to the world, you must first be in possession of that best self. This is the foundation of self-respect, a principle Jung explored not as a luxury, but as a necessity. When you make this fundamental shift, your entire energy field transforms. You begin to magnetize people and possibilities that resonate with your genuine frequency. It's as if the cosmos itself conspires to support your authenticity, removing what depletes you and bringing forth what helps you evolve. To reach this state, however, requires a brave encounter with all you have hidden away. Jung called this the shadow, the parts of our psyche we lock away out of shame or fear. And while facing this shadow can be daunting, it is within this very confrontation that your greatest power lies. Because when you stop fighting your shadows and instead invite them in, you reclaim lost energy and unlock a potential you never knew you held. This process of integration isn't a weekend project. It demands courage, patience, and a steadfast commitment to self-knowledge. The rewards, however, are beyond measure. You gain clarity, seeing through the illusions that once captivated you. You gain purpose, a renewed direction for your journey. You gain an unshakable inner calm, a peace that external chaos cannot easily disturb. You gain the ability to decline what doesn't fit you, free from guilt and the worry of others' opinions. But most significantly, you gain the liberty to exist as the person you truly are at your deepest level. You might be wondering, where does one even begin a journey like this? The answer is closer than you think. Start by simply paying attention. Every time you feel a knot in your stomach, a surge of resentment, or a wave of sadness, pause. Ask a simple question. What is my deeper self trying to communicate? Because as Jung famously suggested, the solutions we seek outside are almost always found within, waiting for us to have the bravery to listen and the will to act. One of life's most difficult tasks is to trust our inner knowing, especially when it guides us toward a path that disrupts the comfortable life we've constructed. Perhaps it's a relationship you know has reached its end. Maybe it's a career that pays the bills, but slowly extinguishes your spirit. It could be a goal you're pursuing only because it looks impressive on the outside. Jung reminds us that to ignore these internal signals is not maturity. It is a betrayal of our own essence. To choose yourself is to find the strength to release what no longer vibrates in harmony with you. And that is rarely easy. We cling to the known because the unknown is terrifying. We tell ourselves that a predictable misery is safer than an uncertain joy. But Jung invites us to view change not as a death, but as a birth, a passage into a more genuine and complete version of ourselves. So, consider this carefully. What are you gripping onto that is actually holding you back? What relationships, beliefs, or daily routines are you sustaining merely out of dread? You may fear that letting go of certain attachments will feel like a loss, but the true, lasting loss is what you experience when you trade your inner serenity just to maintain a facade that has long since lost its meaning. The power of choice is always yours. And perhaps the most critical question you can sit with today is this: am I finally prepared to make a conscious, deliberate choice for my own being? Choosing yourself is not a narcissistic act. It is the ultimate expression of love and reverence for the spirit you are. For generations, we've been conditioned to believe that putting ourselves first is a sin, that honoring our own needs is a form of abandonment toward others. But the opposite is true. When you finally decide to prioritize your own alignment, something miraculous starts to occur. It's as if a veil you didn't know was there suddenly lifts, and for the first time in years, you perceive reality with stunning sharpness. The people who genuinely cherish you will stay. Those who only valued what they could take from you will naturally drift away. This isn't an accident. It is the direct result of an internal revolution, a new harmony between your inner truth and your outer world. Jung termed this phenomenon synchronicity, the meaningful connection between your internal state and the events that unfold in your life. When you start to live in accordance with your authentic nature, your external reality adjusts to reflect that inner shift. It is as if the universe acknowledges your integrity by rearranging your environment to match it. However, this process demands something many find incredibly difficult: radical self-honesty. Choosing yourself isn't only about grand, life-altering decisions or setting firm limits. Sometimes, it is about sitting in a quiet room and admitting painful truths about your past. Perhaps you have made choices that were a denial of your true character. Maybe you have permitted people to cross lines, sacrificing your own well-being for a fleeting sense of approval. You might have agreed to things your soul screamed against, all to avoid the discomfort of saying no. But here is the vital part. This is not a reason for self-condemnation. It is an opening, an invitation to learn, to recalibrate, and to choose differently from this moment forward. Jung believed that authenticity is not a final state you arrive at. It is a path you walk. It is the ongoing practice of learning, evolving, and unfolding into the truest expression of you. And on this road, you will meet resistance. There will be days when you question everything, when old patterns whisper seductively, tempting you to return to the familiar because it feels safe. But remember this: genuine growth never occurs inside your comfort zone. The most significant transformations erupt when you dare to venture beyond the known into the territory of possibility. The world may not comprehend your decision to choose yourself. Some will criticize you. Others will interrogate your motives. A few may even withdraw from you because the new you no longer conforms to their blueprint. And yes, this can hurt, because when you choose yourself, you cease seeking your worth in the eyes of others. You begin to understand that your value is not determined by their opinions, but by your own self-regard. This doesn't mean you must live in solitude or cut ties with your community. Quite the opposite. When you choose yourself, the nature of your relationships evolves in beautiful ways. You no longer hunt for validation. You seek meaningful connection. You no longer tolerate superficial exchanges. You crave interactions that feed your spirit. And in this alchemical process, you discover something wonderful. The right people will always find you. Not because they need something from you, but because they appreciate you for precisely who you are. As you begin to live from this place of truth, the world around you starts to transform. This isn't mystical thinking. It is the powerful dynamic of psychological projection. Jung often explained how our inner world casts itself upon our outer reality. If you harbor internal conflict, you will attract external drama. If you reject parts of yourself, you will encounter rejection in various forms. But if you choose yourself, if you fully accept and embrace the totality of who you are, you will witness how the people and situations around you begin to shift in response. This metamorphosis does not happen in an instant. It is a gradual unfolding, and like any profound process, it requires patience and dedication. There will be days when it feels like you are sliding backward, moments when your old self tries to reassert its dominance. This is the real test of your commitment, your ability to remain steadfast in your choice to honor yourself, even when it feels isolating, even when it feels unsettling. Our society often celebrates self-sacrifice, but we must ask, at what cost? Not everyone will support your path towards self-prioritization. We exist in a culture that frequently glorifies giving until you have nothing left, where sacrificing your own well-being for others is seen as a virtue. But what is the result when you pour from an empty vessel? What happens when you give so much of yourself away that you become a ghost in your own life? Choosing yourself is not selfish. It is essential. Because only when you are full, when you are aligned with your own truth, can you genuinely contribute to others from a place of abundance, not depletion. So dare to choose yourself. Not just once, but every single day. Not only in the monumental crossroads, but in the small, seemingly insignificant moments. And observe as your existence begins to change in ways you could scarcely imagine. But Jung offered us a profoundly simple truth. We cannot give what we do not possess. If you sacrifice your joy, your vitality, or your inner peace in a desperate attempt to make everyone else happy, then what you are offering is not a genuine gift. It is a transaction born of lack, and eventually, that deficit will manifest in your life as burnout, as resentment, or as a hollow feeling of emptiness. Pause for a moment and reflect on the relationships you currently hold. How many of them truly inspire you, lift you higher, and bring you a sense of tranquility? And how many leave you feeling exhausted, confused, or emotionally diminished? Jung invites us to consider this deeply, because our relationships are not just social arrangements. They are mirrors, reflecting back to us the internal landscape of our own beliefs, values, and emotional patterns. If you find yourself allowing someone to consistently overstep your limits, it isn't necessarily because they are a bad person. It is more likely because a part of you has not yet learned how to stand as its own guardian. Establishing boundaries is not an act of hostility. It is an act of profound self-love. Jung believed the unconscious is perpetually working to guide us toward wholeness and health. Yet, we consistently dismiss its messages. That feeling of depletion after spending time with certain people is not a random occurrence. It is your unconscious sounding an alarm, telling you that this connection is out of sync with your fundamental essence. And if you continue to ignore these alarms, the price you pay will always be your inner stability. Choosing yourself means drawing lines, not as barriers to keep people out, but as markers that define the space for healthier, more authentic connections to grow. When you say no to what harms you, you are simultaneously saying yes to your truth, your aspirations, and your well-being. This doesn't mean you must cut off everyone who challenges you. It means you must be brutally honest with yourself about which relationships replenish your spirit and which ones drain it. As you start to live from this place of authenticity, something extraordinary occurs. Your intuition amplifies. That inner voice, which once seemed faint and unreliable, now guides you with newfound precision. You begin making decisions that not only look right on paper, but feel right in your bones. This is the power of choosing yourself. It reconnects you with your innate intuition, that internal compass that was always there, waiting for you to trust it. Jung described intuition as one of the most direct lines to the unconscious. It is that gut feeling, that inexplicable knowing when something is right or wrong for you. But to truly hear it, you must lower the volume of the outside world. This means releasing the addiction to approval, detaching from societal benchmarks, and learning to have faith in your own inner guidance. Because, in the final analysis, No one else can truly know what path is meant for you. When you decide to choose yourself, you are transmitting a powerful message to the universe. I am ready to live in harmony with my own truth. And the universe answers. Suddenly, you begin to attract individuals, chances, and experiences that are in resonance with who you truly are. This doesn't mean life will become free of difficulties, but those challenges will no longer feel like a relentless battle. Instead, they will become catalysts, opportunities for growth, transformation, and profound self-discovery. By choosing to live authentically, you also begin to encounter what Jung called synchronicity. These are the seemingly random, yet perfectly timed events that occur in your life. They are not mere luck. They are a reflection of your inner alignment. When you are in tune with yourself, the external world begins to move in sync with you. Doors open that were once invisible. The right people cross your path at the perfect time, and life begins to flow with an ease that once seemed impossible. This is the beauty of embracing your true nature. When you honor your inner world, the outer world responds in kind. And in that space of deep alignment, you will discover not only a greater sense of fulfillment, but a profound and enduring peace, the kind that comes from knowing, without a doubt, that you are exactly where you are meant to be. When you choose yourself and commit to honoring your truth, the universe appears to work in your favor. The right opportunities present themselves effortlessly. The right individuals emerge at the ideal moment. Everything begins to move with a fluidity that once felt completely out of reach. It is as if the entire structure of reality shifts to support your newfound sense of purpose. Suddenly, goals that felt distant are now within your grasp. But let's be clear, this does not mean the journey will be without obstacles. In fact, some of the most significant tests arise precisely when you decide to choose yourself. It is as if the world, so accustomed to the version of you that aimed to please, now resists your transformation and tries to pull you back. You might feel the pressure of external expectations pushing against you, attempting to drag you back into old, familiar routines. The doubts will surface, the fears will emerge, the temptation to revert to what you know will be powerful. This is where your true strength is forged. Every time you reaffirm your commitment, every time you place your inner peace above external demands, you are strengthening your bond with your authentic self. The key is to remain unwavering, even when uncertainty clouds your vision. It is completely natural to feel afraid when leaving the known behind, even when you know it's not serving your highest good. But hold on to this. Every time you choose to remain in a situation that no longer brings you joy, you are closing the door to a transformation that could redefine your entire existence. The great psychologist Carl Jung taught us that change never happens without resistance. But that resistance is not proof that you are making a mistake. It is evidence that you are moving forward. It is the friction between the old self and the new, the tension between who you were and the person you are becoming. One of the most powerful ways to move through this resistance is through deep, honest self-reflection. Ask yourself, what do I truly hold sacred? What is genuinely important to me? What kind of life do I sincerely wish to build? When you gain clarity on your core values and aspirations, it becomes far easier to make decisions that are in harmony with them. And as you do, you naturally begin to attract people and circumstances that vibrate at the same frequency. The world around you changes in response to your inner alignment. It is also essential to remember that you are not walking this path alone. While choosing yourself might feel like a solitary endeavor at first, in reality, you are carving a trail that will inevitably draw the right people to you. Those who will support you, celebrate you, and walk beside you. These individuals will not ask you to change to fit into their world. They will accept you exactly as you are, because they, too, have chosen to live in alignment with their own truth. When you reach this stage, something within you shifts permanently. Life no longer feels like a constant struggle. Decisions that once felt paralyzing now come with clarity and conviction. And most importantly, you uncover a sense of peace that is no longer dependent on your external circumstances. Because, as Jung taught us, true peace can only originate from within. That inner tranquility is the natural outcome of honoring your needs, respecting your boundaries, and living in full congruence with your values. But it is more than a personal achievement. It is a gift you can offer to the world. When you live authentically, you inspire others to do the same. Your courage becomes a lighthouse for those who are still searching for their own path. And in this process, you don't just transform your own life, you create a ripple effect that touches everyone around you. Take a moment and imagine what your life could be if you released everything that no longer serves your highest good. How would you feel if you let go of the relationships that drain your energy, the commitments that feel alien to your soul, and the expectations you never truly wanted to fulfill? Picture the freedom, the lightness, the crystal clear clarity you could experience. This is not a distant fantasy. It is a tangible possibility, entirely within your reach. All it requires is the willingness to make a single, powerful choice. The choice for self. When you make this choice, you begin to see that you are not losing anything by letting go of what doesn't align with you. On the contrary, you are creating space for what truly matters. You are actively designing a life that not only makes sense but fills you with a profound sense of purpose and joy. And that, in itself, is a transformation worth embracing wholeheartedly. This is the gift Jung hoped we would all discover. The profound realization that true change begins the moment we stop searching outside for answers that have always resided within. It is the moment we choose to live from a place of authenticity, embracing who we are at our core, rather than the persona we were conditioned to become. And when this happens, something miraculous unfolds. You begin to feel truly, vibrantly alive. No longer are you imprisoned by the expectations of others. No longer do you feel bound by the rigid demands of a society that constantly dictates who you should be, how you should act, and what constitutes a successful life. Instead, you start tuning into that inner frequency, the one that has always been there, guiding you, urging you to look deeper, to recognize that a more expansive existence is waiting for you if only you have the courage to claim it. This feeling of liberation is priceless. It is as if a tremendous weight has been lifted from your shoulders, allowing you to breathe fully, deeply, and freely, perhaps for the first time in years. However, attaining this freedom requires immense courage. It demands that you confront not only the external pressures that have shaped your life, but also the internal fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs that have held you back. Jung reminded us that our greatest adversary is not outside of us, it is within. It is that persistent inner critic that whispers, "What if I'm not enough? What if I fail? What if I let everyone down?" But here is the secret so many never learn. That voice is not your truth. It is merely an echo of past conditioning, a reflection of old wounds and borrowed beliefs you have accumulated over a lifetime. Every time you choose to face it, every time you take action in spite of the fear, you are dismantling those limiting stories, piece by piece, making room for something new and authentic to emerge. This is the true power of choosing yourself. When you make this choice, you break the invisible chains that have kept you confined. As you walk further down this path, something remarkable begins to occur. The things that once seemed so critically important, the endless pursuit of validation, the need to prove your worth, the compulsion to keep everyone happy, begin to lose their power over you. You no longer feel the urge to compete, to compare, or to conform. Instead, you discover a deep and abiding satisfaction in the simple act of being yourself. And it is in this state of authenticity that you uncover your true strength. This strength has nothing to do with controlling others or dominating your environment. It is a power that arises from a deep connection with your inner being, that part of you that has always known who you are and what you need. It is a quiet, unwavering force, yet it is unstoppable. Because when you are aligned with yourself, when you stand firmly in your truth, nothing and no one can easily knock you off your path. The beauty of this process is that it doesn't just transform your life, it transforms the lives of those around you. When you choose yourself, you become a living example of what it means to be authentic. You inspire others not through speeches or persuasion, but simply by being. Your very presence encourages people to question their own assumptions, to challenge their own fears, and to step into their own truth. This is something Carl Jung understood at the deepest level. He knew that individual transformation creates a ripple effect, that every time a person chooses authenticity, they contribute to a collective shift in consciousness. Because when we live from our true selves, our relationships change, our communities change, and even the world itself begins to change. But make no mistake, this journey is not a straight line. There will be days when you feel strong, empowered, and completely in tune with your essence. And then there will be days when doubt creeps in, when uncertainty clouds your vision, when you question everything you're doing. These moments of doubt are not signs of failure. They are an essential part of the process. Jung saw them as opportunities, chances to deepen your connection with yourself, to reflect, to learn, and to grow. Each challenge, each setback, is an invitation to shed an old layer, to step into a greater version of yourself, to move closer to your true essence. And in those moments when the path feels unclear, it is vital to remember this. You are not alone. Although the journey toward authenticity may feel solitary at first, you will inevitably find people, experiences, and resources that support you along the way. The more you embrace who you truly are, the more you align with those who resonate with your energy. And when that happens, the journey ceases to feel like a struggle and becomes a homecoming. Perhaps it's a book, a conversation, or even a video like this one that finds you at the precise moment you need it most. These are not just coincidences. They are signposts from the universe, confirming you are on the right track. Every moment, every decision, every challenge you have overcome has led you here, to this very instant. And though the future may seem uncertain, there is one undeniable truth. As long as you continue to choose yourself, you will be building a life that is genuinely worth living. The greatest gift you can give yourself is the permission to be unapologetically you, not the version others expect, nor the one you crafted to fit in, but your purest essence, the real you that exists when all the masks are off. Carl Jung once revealed that the true work of life does not lie in searching outside of ourselves, but in unraveling the deep mysteries that reside within. And when you finally make the conscious choice to embrace yourself, you come to a profound realization. Everything you have ever been searching for has always been within you. This is a call to action. Life is far too short to remain trapped in the need for external validation, to ignore your own desires, to silence your dreams, to meet the expectations of others. The time to take the first step is now. The time to confront your fears, to acknowledge your shadows, and to listen to the quiet whispers of your intuition is today. The moment to reconnect with your true self is right here, in front of you. Because when you choose yourself, you do more than transform your own life. You change the world around you. Your energy shifts, your perspective expands, and your very presence begins to inspire those who cross your path. And now, what comes next? This is the moment to reflect on everything you have just heard. Ask yourself, which parts of my life are truly in alignment with my authentic self? What can I release to live with greater integrity? What is holding me back from embracing the person I was always meant to become? Remember, every small step counts. Every single choice you make in favor of your true self is a victory. And most importantly, you are not alone on this journey. This space, this community, this very channel exists to remind you of your infinite potential and to guide you along your path of self-discovery. If this message has resonated with you, don't let it end here. Extend its impact. Share this video with someone who might need to hear it, someone who is searching for answers, facing their own challenges, someone who might need this exact moment of clarity. Every interaction matters. Every comment, every like, Every share helps this message reach more people. People who, just like you, are searching for a deeper connection with their true selves. Imagine the impact we can create together. A community of individuals committed to living from a place of authenticity, courage, and self-acceptance. Now, I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments. What part of this message spoke most directly to your heart? What steps are you willing to take today to choose yourself, to honor your true essence? Every word you share matters, not just to me, but to everyone who is on this same journey, seeking their own truth, their own clarity. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to Winds of Thought and activate the notification bell so you never miss another message like this. Together, we can bring this reflection to every corner, to every person who needs to be reminded that the greatest power of all lies in the simple, yet profound, act of choosing to be who you truly are. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. But above all, thank you for being a part of this movement, this awakening, this shared journey towards self-discovery. Never forget, you are not alone. Change begins with you. And the world desperately needs more people with the courage to embrace their authentic selves. I'll see you in the next video. And always remember, your life truly begins the moment you decide, irrevocably, to choose yourself.